I got interested into archaeology by Mesoamerican archaeology.
Yeah.
So, and I was pretty 15, maybe 14. So I'm one of those lucky person who sort of always knew what what they wanted to do. I was hired for mapping the site, and we eventually they had rediscovered a group, which they thought was a group, but it ended up being a site that was it's a really spread out site. It was about 20 kilometers, no, 10 kilometers southeast of the site. It was called El Porvenir, and it had first been found by a guy called Merwin, who was an early Mayan archaeologist in the 20s and the 10s, and they had been lost. And they refound it the year before I arrived, but they had just been there once. Oh, okay, that's here. They just looked at the map Merwin had made, oh, it looks like it. And then we went back to that site and we cleared it up. We have 10 workers and they've got machetes and they're clearing the site. And basically you go and you're the first archaeologist since Merwin in the 20s to actually see that site. And then I spent 12 hours a day on that site, maybe 10 hours a day. It was hard work every day for 15 days in a row, mapping it with a total station, so creating an accurate tridimensional map. And every night when you come back, you upload this data in the computer, and you see parts, bits, and finally after 15 days, well, you're the first person who actually mapped the site and recreated it and understand it. And that was out of the middle of the jungle. It was, I mean, where we work with gals, it's deep, but that's even deeper. You cannot go deeper than that. It's a cool experience to transform something so lost into something that we have an idea what it is. I'm walking and there was a path and I was following him, but he just went on the right side of a tree and I went on the left side. I was eating my avocado, and in my angle of view, I saw his big head turn like that towards me, and I didn't know I was able to do that, but I think I jumped 5 meters backward. I was like, and then there was 3 or 4 people that were behind me, and I was like, wait, don't stop moving. And then the guy's like, what's happening? And like, look, and he's like, ah, and then I had a hat too that looked a bit like Indiana Jones hat, cowboy hat, and it was a jumping viper. It's the most dangerous snake that there is because the fer de lance is really famous, but the fer de lance, basically you can, if you approach it, you can just, if you're quick, chop it with your machete, because you always have a machete. But the guy didn't have a machete. But anyway, the jumping viper, you don't do that because it will jump on you if you do that with your machete. It feels it, and they feel the ground. Snakes feel the vibration, so they feel it when you get close to them. And you don't, and they're actually really fat for a non-constrictor. They're really fat, and that's because it's all muscles in their body that they contract and expand and jump. So the only way to, and normally you don't kill snakes, but these are extremely dangerous, and these guides live on the sites. There's every Guatemalan site has about 5 people living on them who sort of take care of them. So we killed it with rocks. We stoned it. I have a really precise question right now in my mind, and I'm doing research about, and maybe he'd have the answer. But I would probably ask him, why do you live where you live? For your family, are you living here because your grandmother and grandfather are here? Are you here because you're following a patrilineal descent, to go into anthropologic terms? Because there's lots of debates as to whether the Maya were organized in terms of linear descent, and they would just and they would be exogamous. They would go and marry people out of their group, or if they would maybe instead be tied to the land. It's a house society maybe, where people just go and you become part of a group, not by being necessarily related to by kinship, but just by just as an affine. So if you would marry into any group, you would be incorporated, and then houses can also integrate each another. So smaller houses can be integrated into the king's house, into the one site, and venerate their own ancestors. And then all that is really tied into the ancestor worship. So if you could answer me if is his society organized into house society, I would be really happy about that. What I would say is jobs aren't about money. A job is not about money. A job is about you. I'm studying for being an archaeologist. I know I'm not going to make lots of money in my life, uh, but that doesn't matter because what I want to do is it's a profession, it's a passion. It's not just a career, a job. I'm not doing it for money. It's important to do something you love because that's self-accomplishing, and there's nothing more exciting than waking up in the morning and at 5 in the jungle and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going in a field today. It's going to be a great day. Well, there's not that many jobs. I think you wake up at 5 in the morning and say, oh yeah, it's going to be a great day. So it's important to do something you love rather than something that brings you a lot of money because that's not necessarily what makes you happy.